is 9:38. I'll bring this meeting to order. If you join me in the flag salute. Mr. Egan, would you lead us, please?
Sure, please join me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we pray this day for your ever-enduring guidance. We ask you to cloak us in wisdom and fortitude, that we may dispense our knowledge and facts intelligently among all humanity of whom we serve. Amen. Okay, announcement of items discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board met in closed session with conference with legal counsel regarding significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision D2 of Government Code Section 56.9, where there were 2 cases. The board also met in conference with legal counsel in closed session regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivision D1 of Government Code 54956.9 with regarding to 1 case. And with regard to 2 liability claims, claimant Eric Johnson, agency claim against Lassen County, the board agreed to deny that claim. And with regard to claimant Zaid Ali, and the board gave direction to negotiate a resolution of that claim.
Thank you. Okay, I'm looking for an agenda approval.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Okay, I have a first by Mr. Albaugh, and a second by Mr. Ingram. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, we're on to public comment. If there's any public comments that do not pertain to the agenda, now is the time for you to speak. And I have 1 speaker card, and it's Eileen Spencer. You have 3 minutes.
I'll need 2 seconds. Eileen Spencer, CanWeHelp.com. We're a government watchdog agency. I was asked to bring you the first quarter Sheriff's Oversight Committee, and it's being distributed. They have your names on there.
It doesn't matter, it's all the same guys. And I'll need somebody's when you're done.
Okay. That's all I have to say. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Here you go, Michelle.
Oh, thanks, Gary.
Okay, we're gonna get an agendized report. Mr. Ingram, you wanna start off, please?
Sure. Bear with me. Over our long break, I attended the Children's Fair, addressed Sunrise Rotary, had another meeting with Sheriff Chad Bianco, where we discussed the illegal organized crime grows. He's got among issues down in his neck of the woods. He wants to become the governor. He's got a pretty good plan on how to eradicate them. Yesterday, we also had our South County food distribution. Tonight, we'll kick off the week of town hall starting in Standish. Then Doyle tomorrow night, Milford on Thursday. Don't want to forget the 2nd annual Veteran Stand Down will be this Saturday, where I was asked to be the guest speaker again. Also spoke with High Desert State Prison representatives. They want to do an all-person hiring event in the fall. So I want to help coordinate those efforts as well. And also attended the Schaefer Pride Night. It was very well attended. I wanted to allocate $250 to Sunrise Rotary and $250 to Courage Worldwide. And also wanted to adjourn the meeting. We lost a very good friend down in Doyle, a prominent guy, Mr. David Farner. So I wanted to adjourn the meeting in his behalf.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Albaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's see, I attended the 50th annual year. We had a special dinner, that's for the senior citizens. So anyway, that's awesome. It was good. It's been around for 50 years. Called 50 Plus Club, so now they're living up to the name now. It's been there 50 plus years. I'd like to send a thank you to the Lassen County Office of Education and all the volunteer groups, because they did the Lassen County History Day down at the fairgrounds, and my daughter went to that and my wife. And you know, it was a good deal, and I just really want to thank putting on, everybody did a good job. I was a chaperone for the 8th grade trip, and we went to Sacramento, to the Capitol, met with Senator Dowley and Assemblywoman Hadwick, had a great trip. I also went down to Monterey for RCRC, which is the RAA, the Rural Advancement Institute, and that was, we're just kind of getting that kicked off. This is our second tour. The first one was in Mariposa, this one was in Monterey. I think we had 4 chiefs of staff. We had Yana Garcia, she's the secretary for the California EPA, she was there. And then there was a CARB one of the board members for CARB. So anyway, it was a good trip, it was good, and very educational, and hopefully for them, they really enjoyed doing that, so that was a good one for that. Also, they had a informal wolf meeting up there, which was good. It was all friendly folks. It was the Siskiyou County Cattlemen's, the Lassen County Cattlemen's, Wodock County, Fall River, Big Valley. I think there was even a Shasta County cattleman there. You know, they had George Alfonso. He gave a little spiel on how to document and protect your suspected kill and how to verify it. Ken Tate and his wife were there. They did a very good presentation on the economic impacts of what wolves are doing to the ranches and the numbers of them, and it was just a lot of good information was out there. And sadly, it's not good information for the economic basis of this county, but it's good information that's out there. Fish and Game says they did a sample of the scat samples on the Lassen pack. They collected 101. And of those 101 samples, 84% contained DNA, yet there was only 7 confirmed kills within that time. And according to their scat sample DNAs, there was 13 individual wolves and not 7 in fishing camps.
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. So there's way more of them out there than what people are thinking there are. And so anyway, we talk about this more later on in the agenda with some of this stuff. But anyway, that was some of the stuff that I was participated in over.
Thank you. Mr. Scanlon?
On Tuesday, April 22nd, I attended the Lassen Regional Solid Waste Management meeting. And we talked about the new trash compactor and some budget issues. And then on Thursday, the 24th, I met with CIO Anderson, Code Enforcement Officer Matt, I don't remember his last name, and Sheriff McGarva regarding some of the problem locations up in Westwood and how to kind of deal with that from a code enforcement, law enforcement standpoint. And then on Friday, the 25th, I met with Bob Goodwin from the city of Susanville, going over the budget reports for the Honey Lake Valley Recreation District pool, because what they presented in the meeting prior was pretty confusing, and trying to understand the budget shortfall and how that budget actually works. And so it was good information from him. And then on Tuesday, May 6th, I attended the reopening of the Lassen Library, and the staff made me feel welcome. And then on Thursday, May 8th, I attended the Spalding Neighborhood Watch meeting and discussed their concerns regarding mostly code enforcement issues. And then I also attended the ribbon cutting / grand opening of the florist shop up in Clear Creek. And so a bunch of people were there for that, supporting them. And then on Monday, just yesterday, filled in for Supervisor Ingram for the Lassen Transit Service Agency and the Lassen County Transit Commission meetings, mostly budget issues and audits and exciting things like that. And then last night I attended the Westwood Chamber of Commerce meeting. And I'm looking forward to this Thursday's Fish and Game meeting at 7 o'clock here in these chambers. They've got representatives from the state going to talk about the gray wolf situation. And so I'm kind of hoping people will come to that. And then I'd like to use discretionary funds, $1,500 designated to the Westwood Chamber of Commerce for their community cleanup coming up here pretty quick in June. And That's it.
Okay, you just had one more?
Yeah, Mr. I forgot, I needed to thank Mike for filling in for me, Supervisor Scanlon yesterday. We're gonna change the dates for our South County food distribution, so I won't have anything. So, thank you, I totally spaced it, sorry.
I had a question, what representatives of the state are gonna be here? For this game?
California Fish and Game's all I know. I don't know who the person is or. Yeah, that's the regular Lassen County Fish and Game meeting.
Okay, I have a question on the Fish and Game meeting, Amanda. I've been asked to speak at that meeting. Is there a problem with more than one supervisor being at that meeting?
As long as the others don't participate, so if you're
Okay.
speaking, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my board report is the 23rd of last month, I had a cultural competency meeting. And then on 4/25, the next 2 days later, I was in Sacramento for the board of directors meeting for CASA. That's always a very interesting meeting, and the big topic before the meeting was over was the gray wolf. And I kind of brought it up, and a lot of people chimed in on it, so the state's starting to get aware of it, and that's a good thing. On the 28th, I had a first five meeting. And on the 29th, I was in Aden at the Wolf meeting that Supervisor Outlaw mentioned. There's about 250 people there. It was an excellent meeting, and I have to really give kudos to Ken Tate and his wife. And all the research that they've done is pretty phenomenal. I was very, very impressed with that. I know they've even used UC Davis for a lot of their information and for their testing, and then some other universities. Then on the 6th, I attended a Prop 1 and Behavioral Services Act. And I was on that Zoom meeting for almost 3 hours, and I still don't know what I seen. It's so confusing. They talked in circles, and they had probably 15 different speakers, and I don't think one of them really had an idea what the total outcome's gonna be. So that was pretty frustrating. And then I attended another first five meeting yesterday, and I also attended a transit and LCTC meeting for Tom Neely. And it was quite a meeting, so I think we got out about a quarter after each other. So that's all I have, thank you. Okay. We'll go to G, information and consent calendar.
I'd like to pull G1.
Okay, anyone else?
Make a motion to approve the balance.
A second.
Got a first by Mr. Ingram and a second by Mr. Scanlon. Those in favor? Is there any public comment? So moved.
Call for the vote? You have the vote?
Yeah.
Okay, you did public comment after?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
H1, fire prevention agreement.
G1,
G1, we have a personnel.
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry. I forgot you pulled. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I got an email from Tony Shaw that drew my attention to the correction needed. He resigned, he did not retire, and that should be reflected on the personnel report.
Thank you. Any other questions?
With that correction, I'd make the motion for approval.
I wanted to notice we got a lot more hires than losses this time. I think it's pretty good work.
Okay.
Oh, it's actually.
Thank you.
Okay. Those in
It's
favor?
just to receive and file
Yeah.
it, so.
Okay.
you don't-
Okay, H1, we will go to wildlife prevention grant.
Good morning, Silas Rojas, Emergency Services Chief. What you have before you is a grant agreement and resolution for $502,000. This grant agreement is with CAL FIRE. It is for the purchase of equipment, a Cat 317 excavator, masticator head, standard bucket, grapple bucket, and Landau 345 trailer. An 84-month warranty and a 3-year, 36-month service package. This is a direct award grant with no cost match. It'll be used on fuels reduction projects within the Lassen MODOC unit. And at the end of the 2-year agreement, the county owns it outright with no obligation to the state.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a really, really good grant.
Does it require full bids?
Yes, a part of the resolution, and then it requires a budget appropriation so that we can receive the revenue and expend the revenue. And once we have this signed, it has to go to the state. We can't spend any money till they sign the agreement and send it back. Both purchases, the cat excavator is going to be purchased off the Omni mass procurement agreement, and the trailer's part of the Sourcewell mass procurement agreement. So it'll move quick as soon as we get the grant back signed. If you guys choose to approve it.
Go ahead.
So, CAL FIRE's gonna be running this for the first 2 years?
Yeah, so that's yep. So it's county owned. But the CAL FIRE operator will transport it, operate it, maintenance it. We have a small budget of fuel included in this grant agreement. Once that money's expended, CAL FIRE will pay to fuel it. If it breaks down, CAL FIRE mechanics fix it. We do have a very long warranty on it, so it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, really, there's no expense to the county for those first 2 years.
Repair parts?
Yeah, there'll be once this all gets approved, signed, and in place, I already have a draft MOU that'll be signed with CAL FIRE that'll designate roles and responsibilities during that first 2 years.
Okay, it's then into 2 years, who's this gonna fall under?
Yeah, so this will be this belongs to my department. What I would like to see happen at the end of the 2 years is to continue that MOU that allows them to continue to do fuels reduction projects that benefit our county. That being said, during that first 2 years, it's still county owned. So if Pete needs an excavator, now he has an excavator he can use. Yeah, it's not exclusively, those first 2 years don't guarantee exclusive use to CAL FIRE. It still belongs to the county, and if there's a need somewhere, it can be taken and used for that purpose.
So does this come with a bucket too on it?
Yep, 30-foot standard bucket. Comes with the forestry package, short stick, cat masticator head, the standard bucket, and the grapple. I think that was it.
The masticator head's pretty important too.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, I think it'll be good. We haven't used one before, so we'll see how productive it is. The grants, it only has to fulfill the grant requirements, it has to treat 100 acres. So I think that should be doable within those 2 years.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it rubber track or steel track?
Steel tracked, it's a wide track. The forestry package comes with a 24-inch tracks on it. And the short stick because the masticator head's so heavy.
So are they smooth track or are they cleats?
No, they're cleats, yeah. Yeah, they're actually tall grousers that come with the forestry package. Wouldn't really want to run them down the road.
Yes, you get ripped out.
Yeah, MODOC County has a wheeled excavator that they use for doing their road treatments. And if this grant continues, I'm considering talking to Pete and seeing if that would be something that might benefit them and look at a wheeled excavator.
You're probably low boy, have some,
Right.
down the road.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, do you have anything?
I'll just,
I have to comment, the wide track on that is very low compaction.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah, it's good in the woods.
Any public comment?
just wanna thank Silas.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by
Second.
Alba, second by Ingram. It's a roll call vote.
Yep. Oh,
All already asked for
Oh,
public
sorry.
comment.
Completely deaf. You didn't hear it either? Okay, no.
Okay, public comment. That's being done. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Scanlon,
Yes.
Supervisor Alba,
Aye.
Supervisor Ingram,
Aye.
Supervisor Bridges.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, audit on, number 2.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we're here today with a contract for Tyler. Going through the first whole year with it, we found out that the system doesn't create the budget book for the state of California or help us create the financial transaction reports for the state of California. In our old program, it was written in that these reports were created so that we could send them to the state. So we had to go out, we contacted multiple other California counties that have Tyler and asked them what they did to get the state the reports they needed in the formats that they require. And we came up with Gravity Technology Corporation. And so we asked for a quote, and now we're coming to you with a contract. And so, I don't know if there's any questions or.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Tyler doesn't have these, and why not? I mean, that's just seems.
Because Tyler was never meant just to be like a California county program. It was more set up to be like a city program. It's not used to all of the complexities of a county accounting. And so as we go on with these other counties throughout the state that has Tyler, things are probably going to be built into Tyler, but at this point in time, they don't offer it. And we don't have a choice. Last year, Stephanie ended up putting the budget to be compliant with the state into our old program to get it to them timely. Well, we no longer will have our Gen Ledge program available to do that. So this is another Tyler gift.
So what do the other counties do that have Tyler?
They use Gravity, this entity, to produce all of their state reports.
And that's all they do?
That's all they do.
Is this gonna delay our putting together our budget process for next year?
It will with the state if we don't have a way to put together the budget book in the format that they want. And then there's fines and fees for not being able to produce the budget book in the state's format. So as of now, no. If we get this in place, no. But we won't have our other program that we had to fall back on last year in order to be compliant.
How long do you think it'll take to get put in place?
Once we sign it, they can, it's immediate and we can get it sent once the budget's passed, and they'll have it to the state within, a week or so. It's not a big deal, but there's just no place in Tyler that we can enter it in and have it formatted for the state.
To clarify, there's two separate issues there. So on our side, it won't stop us or impede us from passing the budget. It'll just stop us and impede us from being compliant on the state level with a passed budget.
Right.
Any comment? I know, Nancy, you mentioned this to me, that you were looking for such a program because Tyler did not contain what we needed. And I appreciate all the hard work you and your department have put into this. So thank you. Do we have any public I'm sorry.
So is this something that IT could reprogram and?
No. We asked them last year because Stephanie didn't want to have to go back in and re-enter the entire budget into our old Gen Ledge budget program. So we asked IT last year if there was any way. We put in a Tyler help ticket. We went through our client first to see if they could help us do that, and it all came back to the fact that no, Tyler doesn't do any California compliant publications for the state, like budget books or transactional reports. So that would have been something that would have been good on the front side when they were looking at this program, to have identified that Tyler wouldn't prepare those items for them. But we are where we are, and it's like,
You're supposed to be doing reports for everything, I thought.
I thought so too, and so we were very disappointed when they came back and told us, no, they didn't do that. And then when we talked to Napa, Mendocino, they said, yes, they were also told that they can't compile those reports, and so they had to go out and find a third-party vendor to do it for them. So it's a problem with any county that bought Tyler, just not us.
So what's so special about the state reports that's gotta be, we gotta have all this fancy crap for?
They're in a specific format where we have to show like individual schedules based on the different types of funds that we have. And it's not easy to put together in a sort of format, but, the reports that they do look really good, so it's just.
But
And-
I'm just curious, why do we have to go through all of this special, I mean, the state has all kinds of.
Because if we don't, it was like, what, $1,000 a day for
Yeah.
every day we were non-compliant of getting it in. So it's another thing with the state, you do it our way or we'll just fine you.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's stupid.
I don't disagree with you, Aaron, but I can't control that. All I can do is try to get things there timely and not to get penalized for them.
I mean, we're gonna pay somebody half a full-time employee every year just to make the state happy. Send them the goddamn binder that we get, our budget binder, and say, here, you guys figure it out. You guys spend all your time and money, we don't have the time and money to do it.
Well, they'll just send it back and say, here's your bill for being non-compliant.
Oh,
And it's been 7 days and it's gonna add up.
It's a non-ending
What?
Your
thing.
questions are rhetorical.
my questions are rhetorical.
She can't change the state's mind.
Can you? So what do we do there?
Note to self, do not irritate the state.
Comply.
Did you
I
have a
try to
different word
change his
for
mind
hair?
when I call him every Thursday, but
It's
Governor
not
Newsom
budget.
does not wanna listen to me.
Do we have a different word?
Are you done?
No, but.
Do you have any public comment?
Post no bills. Mailbox closed.
Being no public comment, I'm bringing it back up here for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed contract with Gravity for the 5-year contract, 2025 to 2029, totaling $194,320, and authorize the CAO treasurer, tax collector to execute the agreement.
I'll second that.
I have a first by Ingram and a second by Scanlon.
We don't need a 4/5 vote on that.
No.
Okay, good.
Oh, wait, so,
It should just be the auditor,
yeah, the
controller,
auditor
treasurer.
to execute the contract, not the
Okay.
CAO.
Those in favor?
So no, is that an amended motion?
That's an amendment motion.
Second, accept the amendment?
Yes,
Right.
Okay, those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay. So moved, thank you, ladies.
Tyler, we'll be back, I'm sure, with more of these, Aaron, just for you.
Okay.
We'll see you then.
Don't
Okay. H5.
not complain.
Yeah, we're gonna come back.
Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here today with an item,
Do you have a name?
Danielle Sanchez, Personnel Coordinator for Health and Social Services.
Thank you.
I'm here today to ask for to unfund a full-time fiscal officer position and fund a full-time housing grant specialist position within our grants and loans budget. We have evaluated the workflow. The fiscal officer has been vacant for quite some time. We are currently in a rework of that job description, so we will not be filling it anytime soon while we rework the wording and get the necessary approvals, and the work does not stop in this division. So we are here today to ask to unfund that while we rework it, fund another housing grant specialist, and we have been very successful in our recruitment efforts in this department, so we already have a certified list that if this is approved today, we will be able to select someone off of. An offer will be made by close of day if this action is approved today. We try.
Okay.
You're asking to unfund a higher,
Correct. So the fiscal officer is a management professional association range 22, and the housing grant specialist position is a UPEC range 18. So there will be salary savings within this budget based on the different classifications.
what's the solution for a fiscal officer?
So Jason Vial, Director of Community Social Services, has absorbed kind of the housing and grants department while we work on the restructuring of HSS with Barbara's retirement. And in doing so, he has fiscal staff that are doing the work in the housing and grants division in community social services. So the work is still getting done. It's
Okay.
just being absorbed
That's
by a
important.
different department.
That's
pretty
what I was-
important.
Yes.
that's what I wanted to hear.
Any other questions? Gary?
So aren't you short of fiscal officers? It's just gonna.
We are short.
pigeonhole you?
We are short fiscal officers, which is why we're working on a rewrite of the job description, so that we can better determine what their actual role, job responsibilities are.
Okay. Just don't wanna see you get,
It's on Maury's desk. We talked about it last week.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? Is there any public comment? Being there is none?
I'll make a motion to unfund one full-time employee fiscal officer and to fund a full-time employee for housing grants specialist.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Ingram, by Mr. Scanlon,
I'll second it.
and
since
a
Terry
second
said
by
that.
Mr. Ingram. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
Morning, Board Chairman, Board members. This item is a project for the adult detention facility, the jail, Sheriff's Department runs. So we're trying to upgrade the heating, ventilation, and cooling system at the facility. Currently, it's aged building, aged facility. The heating, cooling, controls, systems are not working real well, and the equipment's past its useful life. So what we've done with this project is to do a progressive design build. It's a little bit different than the design bid build process. It's more engaging at the front end with the design folks and the contractors. So you're actually asking for a design professional to come together, bring all those parties in, and they work cooperatively versus breaking it up in components. So we put an RFP out. We received 2 proposals. They were evaluated by Public Works staff and Sheriff Department staff. The proposal that was selected was for MCOR Services, Base Energy Systems Incorporated. So the total amount of the first phase, we broke it into 2 phases. So phase 1 is design work, all engineering, et cetera, on that, and then the phase 2 is the actual construction. So this company will do all the design work, and then if we decide to proceed into the construction side of it, they will also be responsible for the construction part of it too. So it's all under one roof, and it's so if there's issues internally, they should be able to resolve them themselves. It's not our responsibility, as you have a design company and then you have a construction company and that back and forth there. So then there's an option if we get to about 90% complete on these design plans, and we have estimates in there, and if we're not comfortable with what the numbers are for the construction, we call an off-ramp option, which they will finish up to 100%, and then we are done with them, and then we can go to the bid phase with the project if we like. So there's flexibility in there. At the end of that, if you can't come to an agreement again with the final cost of what that project's gonna look like. So this is a new process for us, but we spent a lot of time looking at how other entities do it and put together, spent a lot of time with county council as well. So we're comfortable with it. We're curious to try it out, see how it works. There's some advantages to it, so we'll, and our recommendation is that we move forward with this particular company for the first phase of it. And then as far as funding, That is COVID money that we've had banked for a little while on that, so. There is not a fund budget, it's just within the current county budget.
Questions to staff? Questions to staff?
Is this one of those things that'll bring the jail up to specifications with the state?
In certain aspects, yes. Because the temperatures in there typically, in the wintertime too, they're either too hot or too cold. And that generates complaints, which then can become an issue with the state, yes.
I have a question, Pete. That, and also, these are quite the units, that should lower some heating and cooling costs, shouldn't it? I know
Yeah,
the jail's an old, it's an
yeah,
old
so-
building now, but it should, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's so the system there is basically like an evaporative cooler system, and then for the summertime, and then in the wintertime, it's got a boiler system that pipes the hot water through pipes, and then a radiator that pushes the air. So the newer systems out there, it's a similar system, but it's a lot more current and efficient. And then there's just a lot of time with staff. It should be all automated, where you really, like you mess with the thermostat on the wall, but there's a lot of time where they're going up and manually turning something on and off, or climbing on the roof and stuff, so.
Any questions from the public? I'll bring it back up here. Oh, we got a question.
So on phase one, it's design only.
Correct.
So if this design, will this design be applicable to other companies, or is design only applicable to this company?
So they've both companies proposed their kind of conceptual design, and that was one of the things that we rated. I felt this way I rated this company, I liked their design a little bit better. They weren't, they were sticking with the kind of the concept that we have there, but bringing it up to a current day and age with what the technology is out there. Not trying to reinvent the whole system or scrapping the whole system, so we're trying to preserve some of what's there, because we've done some upgrades throughout the years, and some those components are still good, and we're keeping those in the system. So trying to work with, again, it's trying to get the most bang for the buck, and that's the concept here is you're not trying to maximize all your energy savings, because then it's spending a lot of money on more expensive equipment and systems like that, so you're trying to balance that. And that's one of the things I like with this design build concept. These folks have their engineers in-house and the folks that also do the construction, so they can talk back and forth and go, if you go that route with that particular design, it's gonna cost you this much more or this much less or something. So you really have a good cohesive team there talking about all the pluses and minuses versus just an engineer designing something, this is what I want, but no input on how to possibly implement it or design it. And this is a retrofit too, so when you're doing a retrofit, there's always a lot more kind of unknowns and stuff, so having those folks that have done construction and looking at what's there, and okay, this is what you have to do to make that work and stuff, versus just, from an engineering standpoint, just rip it all out and go from new. It's easier to design that way. It's cheaper from a design standpoint. You don't have to think about it as much. But so we're making them think about it, try to get us the best product for the price.
Okay. I have to compliment you on all your research, but I also like how you incorporated options throughout the whole process. I think that's very, very thoughtful, and it's good for the county, and it's good for the citizens' dollars. So.
Well, it's not me. I don't like to reinvent the wheel, so I like to see what other people are doing and see what the best options are and get those.
You overseen.
And I have to give Kayla Neely a lot of credit. She spent the most time on this, putting this together.
Thank you.
And then county council as well. So.
I had a public comment out there.
I'm just curious.
Come up to the podium, please.
It's a short question.
State your name.
John Lightfoot. I was just wondering, is there a date, an ETA on when this will be accomplished? Or?
That's a very good question. So the phase one, I believe we're looking at about 125 working days, so you can say that's a regular Monday through Friday week. The entire project we wanna have done by, June, into June 2026. And that's part of what was in the proposal packages. We set a timeline, they had to give us a schedule to make that timeline, so.
Any other public comment? I'll bring it back up here, no questions, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to award Lassen County Adult Detention Facility HVAC retrofit project to MCOR Services Mesa Energy Systems. And secondly, to authorize the Public Works Director to execute an agreement with MCOR Services Mesa Energy Systems Incorporated for the amount not to exceed $295,300.
Okay, I have a first by Supervisor Scanlon, second by Supervisor Ingram. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you, Pete.
Well, I'll say thank you on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, because if they were here, they would have,
Yes.
they're on another important meeting, but they would have been here.
Okay, we're gonna go to number 7.
Okay, this is a road project on County Road 83, otherwise known as Standish Bunnyville Road or County Road 301. It's a rehab D and E project, so we've got 2 STIP projects, State Transportation Improvement Program projects. They're basically on each end of that road. They're the last 2 segments. We've done multiple projects over the last few years rehabbing on that road. So the last 2 really bad sections we're doing on the ends, and we've combined it into one bid package. So we had 3 bidders on it, and as you can see in the board letter, Hat Creek Construction and Materials was the low bidder at $4.1 million on this project. And then and we have a 10% contingency in there, which is approximately $410,000. So within the contract documents, there's Caltrans, we use Caltrans specifications, there's a smoothness specification, so if they meet that requirement, they get basically a bonus. Other contingencies, if we have to do some dig outs or something, find a place that's needs to be dug down, repaired, etc. like that, or if our quantities are a little bit above or below, it gives us that flexibility for that. So that would be through a change order process for any of that. So that gets to a total contract not to exceed amount of $4,510,000. The funding is available. Again, it's a state funded project on this. And as far as timeline, I don't know if we'll be able to squeeze it in this construction season. Hat Creek's got a lot of work going on around the area, not only Lassen County, but surrounding counties. But it's a pretty short project. We're figuring 2, maybe 3 weeks on it. So there's a pretty small window of time that, so if we can squeeze it in, we can, but we'll see on that. Otherwise, we'll basically just have to winter it down, and it'd be probably one of the first projects that we would do next spring on it.
Questions? So how many miles do you get for $4.5 million?
Approximately, you're running about $1 million a mile for rehab. So what that consists of, so we come in, I'll give some examples of us compared to Caltrans and why we do what we do in a little bit different manner. We come in and pulverize that pavement and then take that pulverization down into the base there. It all mixes up, so you actually end up having a better base there. We reshape it if there's some crown issues with the road, grade it, shape it so it drains correctly, and then we compact it, and then we lay new asphalt over that, typically 3 inches. So if you go look on the 44 job that Caltrans did last year, so what they'll do is they'll come in where the wheel ruts are, they'll grind those out, patch those back, and then pave over. You can probably go up there now and you'll already see those cracks coming back through. So that's reflecting through because your subgrade you have that same issue there, you have not corrected. It's probably cheaper for miles, but we do this because we think we're gonna get a lot more longevity out of our pavement. Because you're actually structurally making the sub-base stronger and stuff. Because we can't do projects on the frequency of Caltrans, so we really try to get the max amounts. It costs a little bit more per mile, but I think we get a lot more longevity out of them.
I was just curious how much they went up.
Yeah, you know, the big one is the cost of asphalt. You know, that's one of your biggest quantities in there. And then, you know, again, it's prevailing wage that's always going up. And so,
Mike, any questions?
No, thanks.
Any questions for staff? How about, do we have any public comment? I'll bring it back up here for a motion.
Move approval of Pete Stone with Hector Construction, the amount of $4,510,000.
Okay, I have a first by,
And authorize the Public Works Director to execute upon county council approval.
I didn't read that part, yeah.
Sorry, Art.
okay, I have a first by,
Where is that? Wait, oh.
There's
and
there's three
authorize
parts to
public-
it.
Yeah, and authorize Public Works to authorize change orders up to an amount not to exceed $410,000.
All right, I'll get it real quick. Let me just do it right.
yeah,
All right, award the contract for the Standish Bunnyville Road, CR 301, rehab D&E project, Hector Construction, and materials, will qualified bidder meeting specifications amount of $4,100,000. Authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the agreement upon approval as to form by county council. And authorize the Director of Public Works to authorize the change orders up to not to exceed amount of $410,000. Approximately 10% of the total contract not to exceed $4,510,000.
very good. Okay, I have a first. Do
I'll,
I-
I'll second
And we
that
have a second by Andrew.
two-paragraph motion.
Okay,
want the public to know what we're doing.
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, we don't need roll call vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, so moved. Thank you, Pete. You guys need a break?
We got 2 items.
And,
Yeah,
well,
take a
they're
5 minute
gonna
break.
take a while.
Oh,
We're gonna take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 10:30. Time is 10:33. Okay, we're gonna go to H3. And it's on the gray wolf. Mr. Alba, you're up.
It's me? All right, well, you know, we've been talking about this for a while, and, actually, we've been talking about this for a very long time. The wolves have finally propagated enough, thanks to Mr. Egan and the other fellow producers down here that have been feeding the wolves, and they're able to propagate and keep going. Now they're spreading throughout the state, and they're causing damage to many other people, so we're getting other counties involved, and so now we're starting to get a voice, and anyway, so I put together this resolution. And Sam did a phenomenal job of editing it. She did too good of a job, so I'm gonna see about making a couple of changes, get those back in there if it meets the fancy. I'll just spit them out and we can go from there. Some of them do need to be changed though. There's a couple edits. So, you ready, Sam?
Yes.
Okay. So, as we read through this, in the second whereas, there's 8 depredations have occurred in Lassen County in the month of March. Well, we need to have 8 confirmed depredations in March of 2025.
So far, so good. Let's see how this
She's
goes.
still smiling, so I can tell.
In the fourth whereas, these wolves are not native to California, should be considered an invasive species because they are Canadian gray wolves and they are not a rebounding species in California. Something to that effect. Because that's the latest thing, is they're saying that wolves are rebounding and they're not. These are different species. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the fifth whereas, the wolves have not shown a lack of fear toward humans.
These wolves
No, they've shown a lack of fear, or they have not shown a fear.
They have not shown fear, that's what it's.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
that's okay. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, go on down to the next one, the PLM. It's private lands management, not public lands
Oh,
program.
I guess. They were mutual being like a.
Anyway, I guess those are the most of them that I have, I think. My question for you, Amanda, is in the third bullet point, is that the correct way to, the terminology and verbiage you want to use? I mean, who's gonna evaluate if they're fit to hold office?
I think we should strike that.
Oh, in the what? Oh, sorry,
You
sorry.
want no confidence?
I don't think we should make that statement. I mean, everything else in there is really good.
Where are we at?
The
last
third,
bullet point.
the third
Okay.
bullet point towards the end.
Okay,
I don't like the decisions our governor's made and the effect of that. And there's a lot of things we could, talk about that. But making it a point to put a stick in his eye when you're making you're trying to, what's this resolution for? Is it gonna go to the governor?
Yes.
Okay, and you're trying to make a point and get it to help you, and insulting him at the same time. I mean, that could be a separate resolution, but, Will you help me while I, jab you in the eye? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's him because he's the one that has appointed the Fish and Game Commission, which is it's a 5-member commission. 4 of those 5 members live in LA.
Yeah, I know that.
And they're the ones that have put this out there, before the wolves are even here, all the wolves are in David, the wolves aren't even here yet. They're the one that developed this policy, the phase 1, the phase 2, the phase 3. They've approved this, and they're the ones not doing anything to help anybody out.
Well,
And then on the 15th, like in 2 days, they're gonna do the same thing with the coyote. They're gonna put it on there that we're gonna have to have a season on coyotes and bag limits and everything else, and I mean, there's nothing left for rural America, Mike, and we're just getting ate alive, and I am sick and tired of it. We get no help. They've done the same thing with the lions, they've done the same thing to the bears, and now they can do it to the coyotes. They brought in the wolves, and I'm done. They did the same thing with the spotted owl and logging industry, now they're gonna do it with the predators, the ranching industry.
And
I am done with it.
I agree with you. I just don't think it's wise. The governor's got, a year left for he terms out. We're gonna get a new governor, hopefully. We'll get a new governor of some kind or another. But to call for a vote of no confidence, I mean, our county's already done that by initiating the recalls that have taken place and failed.
Lassen County didn't do that. The citizens did, as an individual.
Right,
Lassen County
right.
did not.
I mean, that's how he's looking at us as as an entity. The county didn't initiate that, but the citizens certainly did. And so he knows how we feel. I mean, that's part of why CCC got shut down. I think making an enemy or making our enemy madder than he is
that's a better term.
is foolhardy. We want to get something out of him, we want this to be effective. He's gonna read that last line and just toss up the trash can. I think we're fighting against ourselves. I think the whole thing would be great. I mean, if you deleted that 3rd point altogether, it would have no impact on the rest of it in terms of it's true. And I think it would read that way. But you get to that last paragraph and there'll be a whole segment of people, they're gonna kinda go, they're just like the anti-Trumpers, the anti-Newsoms. And I think we're gonna be ineffective.
Then you could be right, but that's why we're here having this discussion now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna disagree with you, but that's fine. I mean, you're one vote, I'm one vote, and
No,
it's the biggest one that wins.
we'll still smile at each other and have fun, but,
Exactly.
But I don't think it's wise to put that in there.
But I've been fighting this since 2017, and we have gotten absolutely nowhere. We've got no credibility. They won't come see us. When they do come see us, they speak with forked tongue, not only him, but his staff.
And that's why I think your letter to the president, which we'll talk about later, going from the top down is gonna be more effective than going from,
And we've been trying going from the bottom up at these guys, and it hasn't worked, so.
right.
Not that Newsom's ever gonna come here anyway, but, anyway, and then the only other thing that I had in here that Sam took out was in the first whereas, where I talked about the Department of Fish and Wildlife, I put in there here and after referred to the Department of Fish and Predators, and then everything in here afterward would be fish and predators listed. That was the other thing that I had in my original one that Sam very eloquently took out, and I would like to maybe put that back in, but here again, I'm just one vote, so that is also up for discussion.
I think you need to address the agency by the proper name, not by street slang, country slang, or whatever it would be.
Gut feelings.
Anyway, those were my recommended changes to the resolution.
Any other comments from the board?
Well, you brought up the 3rd bullet point, if you think it should be written differently.
No, I just wanted to make sure we got the verbiage correct, because I don't know how that works, so no confidence, no confidence.
So is that gonna be like another motion by the board to make a vote of no confidence? I mean, is that what this means we're gonna do?
I had talked about this, as having the 3rd one, and then, it was suggested we just incorporate all into the same resolution, so that's why it's here.
So if we pass this, it is a vote of no confidence against the governor and against the Fish and Wildlife Commission? Is that,
It would have to be rephrased probably to do that, to say that wherefore be it resolved that Lassen County expresses or votes, has voted a lack of confidence for Governor Newsom, Fish and Wildlife Commission, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and found they are not fit to hold their current office, something along those lines.
what are your thoughts on this?
It's not really a legal issue, it's more of a what you wanna do. I can't butt in on politics.
My comment is, there's no way I can put down what I'd like to say. It'd be a lot worse than this. We just need something to get as much traction and effect for Lassen County and the ranchers as we can. And this is just a small chance of it, but we need to really think about it and do the best we can do for the effectiveness.
I mean, I will say from a legal standpoint, I talked to Supervisor Alba about this, that it does call for a local declaration of emergency. I'm not confident that it meets that standard. If you were to try to, for instance, assert immunities or obtain state or federal funding based on that declaration of emergency, I think you'd have to come back with a more robust resolution citing facts, because that's an extreme peril standard, so just a note.
It's more just a public statement or?
Correct.
And I agree with what Supervisor Scanlon is trying to say. I don't think, no matter what we say to Governor Newsom, we're not gonna get our way with that guy anyway, you know. We made an enemy out of that guy no matter what. And even if we struck this out, I don't think he's gonna help us. In all honesty. It's an interesting point. We're asking for his help on something that we're going through, and then here we are saying he's not competent, you know.
Any other comment up there? I'll open it up for public comment.
Good morning, Richard Egan, resident District 3. Thank the board for taking up this issue and bringing some more highlight to it. As you know, it's a problem we've been dealing with here for about 7 or 8 years now. And I appreciate the context of the resolution in the sense of bringing light to it. But I just have a couple comments about it, and I may confuse the two items. I know there's 2 items on the agenda, but one of them calls out the illegal use of lake hold traps by the department. And that's a topic that has been kind of bandied around in the producer community for a long time, because on one hand, I think most of us really agree that we need to call them out on their hypocrisy. And they've been, knowingly violating the state law for about 7 years now, trying to catch these things. On the other hand, most of us think that regulation and law is kind of ridiculous and retards everybody's ability to control predators, and we want the things collared so we know where they are. So my point of mentioning that is, if we call them out on that, I don't favor a half measure in just calling them out. I think that would be more appropriate to be a referral to the district attorney, because it's in fact a crime to utilize leg hold traps, and not only to just utilize leg hold traps, but I think the legislation also says authorizing the use of leg hold traps. So I think that would rise to the level of Secretary Crowfoot and Director Bonham for authorizing the use of illegal traps and knowingly doing so for the last 7 years. So I don't know if the proper form would be the local district attorney or the attorney general, but if we're gonna go down that nuclear path of calling them out on this illegal activity, I think a half measure is not warranted. I think it should be a full measure. Just my comment on that. With regard to the current status, and I appreciate that Lassen County has been active in predator management much more than our neighboring counties for a long time. And I think we also need to kind of encourage them to participate in the things that Lassen County's been doing too, in terms, Plymouth and Sierra, who are now very vocal, don't have a trapping program like Lassen County does for predators. They rely on Lassen County's contract with APHIS to go over to those counties and deal with bears that are killing people or wolves that are killing livestock. And so I think, it's not just the state, we need to get our neighboring counties to get on board with this also. Just a comment on that. As far as the department, and I appreciate the resolution and the letter that'll go to them, I feel, having seen this for 7 years, there's some deliberate corruption in the department. And just recently, we've seen how, for 5 or 6 years, they essentially refused to take advantage of technology to collar these things in terms of helicopters for some silly excuses. And recently they decided to do it. They went actively after certain packs and then ignored other packs like the Lassen pack. And in the case of the Lassen pack, the extent of their real efforts to collar that pack in the last year was one flight from the Susanville airport to Greenville and back. They didn't see any wolves and they gave up. They spent days and days on other packs collaring multiple wolves. And I think that deliberate incompetence really needs to be called out in the department. They also sent their biologists out on 60-day camping trips to try to catch these things and never had any luck. So anyway, those are my comments. Thank you for doing that. Hopefully we get some sort of response from them, but I'm not terribly optimistic.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment? Mr. Peter.
David Teeter, small stakeholder in the city of Susanville. Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, thanks for allowing me to speak today on this subject. When I was on the board of Supervisors back in 2020, our Fish and Game Commission came forward with recommendations on this. It included the largest payments that I could find to producers, both direct and indirect, in terms of payments for loss. And of course, as Mr. Albaugh would say, it was not enough. It wasn't near enough. I am here in support of this measure. I agree with Supervisor Scanlon that removing that one bullet point is probably the right idea. We know that sometimes Supervisor Albaugh goes to the ends for his constituents, and sometimes it goes a little too far. So today I'm here to support you on that, in part because I promised my favorite supervisor, Sharon Dryden, out of Sierra County, that I would do such a thing. So I appreciate your efforts too. The last part, I would be remiss, however, in pointing out that to the small stakeholders, it's not the wolves. It's often the bears or the lions. I myself fought a bear, not directly because that would be dumb, but ran it off, and it was like 10 feet from my front door, and I live in the city of Susanville. So I appreciate these efforts on your part on this. I know often I'm critical of you, but today I'll add my little last part. I would be remiss if I weren't here to speak for my friend John Parker in Janesville. I had a beer with Mr. Parker the other day and looked down upon urban blight. He would tell you that the blight in Janesville, and it affects 10, 15 small stakeholders, is worse than any wolf predation. But I can't ever offer just all praise. You got to work on Mr. Parker's problem next too, please. So thank you for letting me speak today.
Thank you. Next.
Just quickly, and I would defer you to Amanda for further guidance, but just if you do decide to go down local declaration, one thing that we always do in a declaration is we tell them what we're asking for. And typically for an earthquake or a flood or a fire, that's as simple as any financial assistance that can be afforded through the CDAA. And so if you're going to go down a local declaration, you might think about the things you're asking for. An example could be, allowing a mechanism for the sheriff to take wolves as necessary, allowing producers to aggressively haze up to lethal taking of wolves. But think of those key points that a producer may want or the county wants and include those in the declaration for what you're truly asking for, just like we would through any other natural disaster declaration.
Yeah, I think we'd have to come back another way on this one.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good morning, gentlemen. Teresa Phillips here on my own, not representing anybody but myself. I agree with Supervisor Scanlon about that third bullet point. I'm just going to tell you something that I tell myself. If you want something from someone, offer them a way to give it to you. If you're confrontational, if you're at a point of impasse and this is your bottom line and you only accept this, there's no room for negotiation. And you're speaking for all of Lassen County. I'm not a fan of Governor Newsom. I'm not here to support him or the Fish and Wildlife Commission. I'm just here to support you in this effort. I agree with Mr. Teeter. I've had mountain lions in my yard, and I live in Janesville as well. Bears, all of that. But, I applaud your efforts to preserve our way of life and ranching and everything that makes us great in Lassen County. But seriously, I would like you to consider removing that last bullet point. And again, if you want something from someone, offer them a way to give it to you.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there anyone else for public comment? Bring it back up here. Go ahead.
I think we should add another whereas and give our ranchers and producers a way to protect their livelihoods. I mean, having that not in here, I think is a huge mistake. I think we should add it in there to really.
Are you talking about the point that Mr. Silas made about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a wolf killing one of your calves, that's your livelihood, you should be able to shoot it.
Maybe that could be the third bullet point.
Well, maybe that could be our, like I mentioned, it's gonna have to come back, but as far as the local emergency, I mean, yes, it's that, but it's also the wolf compensation program. I mean, they went through the first 3 million in short order.
Blink of an eye.
They since replaced it with a mere $600,000, and with many confirmed kills that we've had this year, it's probably already gone, if it already hasn't, let's get all paperwork in. And we're just starting into the summer.
It's not even counting wildlife.
But it was interesting. I wish I could remember how much it was. Do you remember how much it was when Ken Tate's wife was talking about the overall impact of wolves? I mean, it was like 16 million a year or something of the indirect expenses. And so anyway, I mean.
And that's the ones, after you go through all the issues to prove it. There's some that you can't prove, and you know that the wolves did it.
Well, but this was just the overall herd impacts. You remember, because it was about the conception rates, it was about the weight gain loss and et cetera. And where the wolves are, I think it was like 16 million or something, wasn't it? It was something like that.
Yeah.
And those are, I mean, that's the basis of our economy, but for Modoc and for Lassen, for Plumas, for Sierra, for Siskiyou, part of it in Tulare. And that's what we need. We gotta have a way for the producers to stay in business, not only here in Lassen County, but in the state. We're not gonna have anything left. And I know I'm being harsh on this, but I've been fighting this a long time, so I'll admit I am jaded. And it's gonna be hitting me personally too, it already has with the other predators. But, so I take it a little personal. And I don't know, in a couple of years, when you guys have been fighting this and you've gotten nowhere, you're gonna be just as jaded as I am. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm already there. You guys aren't there yet, but you will be.
Any other comments?
Well, I mean, even to go as far as not just giving the producers the right to protect their livelihoods, the Lassen County Sheriff's Office, George Alfonso, the citizens, everybody should have a right to protect their ranch and livelihood, period, whether it's coyote, wolf, mountain lion. I think it'd be a mistake not to have that in here.
I think you need to be specific about, like what Silas was saying, what do you want? And maybe one of the things that we want as well is what Mr. Egan pointed out is they've tagged all the wolves in these other packs, but they haven't done the Lassen pack that's doing the most damage in our community.
Plus being able to protect yourself if you're attacked.
Well, I mean, part of the issue is that when a wolf, when wolves take a cow or a calf somewhere, proving it.
It is.
And so if more of the wolves are tagged or collared or whatever, then maybe that would help with the proving part of it. And
Okay, well, part of that problem is they don't give current information, the
Yeah.
department. They're not transparent with the current information. So they'll wait until there's a cluster, then they'll call up a producer, hey, there's been a cluster of points at, this coordinate. So they'll give out the coordinates. Well, the wolves killed the calf or the cow or whatever 2 days ago. And in the meantime, they've ate it up. And so there's no evidence that the wolf, and maybe the calf died, but that's what I'm saying, is the wolves, the way they kill, they eat their own evidence. They're the perfect criminal, because they eat their own evidence. And so there's no way to tell if it was a natural death or if it was a depredation by a wolf, because they made all the evidence, and they don't give you that information timely enough to go investigate to confirm if it was a wolf kill or if it was by natural causes. And that's part of the reason for the transparency. They're always a day behind.
Or more.
Or more. And then by the time they call the producer or whoever it could be, and they go get up there to investigate or something, I mean, it's the birds, the coyotes, the bears, and whatever else is.
It's contaminated, it's on.
All the evidence is gone.
when they're using that as an excuse to not land the wolves.
Right.
Yeah, they're.
And I was just thinking, maybe improperly, but I was just thinking if you had the GPS tag that they were there, that should bolster the case if there's a case. But
They're gonna.
We have
they
one
might
more
get out
public,
there.
we have one more public comment, and it's from a rancher, so I think it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, just to kind of illustrate how important the collars are to me as a producer. And we've been dealing with the Lassen pack for 7 years. And in that time, we've had 5 confirmed kills. We've probably had 30 to 40 unconfirmed missing cattle. The only way that we've been able to get confirmation on the kills is through collar data. And Aaron's absolutely correct. They're deliberately incompetent in sharing the information. And so you have to essentially call and say, where were the wolves today? If were they on my allotment? Were they in my cows? To get that information. And half the time they were, they're experts at playing dumb. Gee, I don't know. We didn't check. It didn't download. Sorry, I didn't check my email. Whatever the excuse is. But the only way that we've been able to find those confirmed kills is through that collar data, at least on the open range parts of the country. Now, if you're on feed grounds or irrigated pasture and you're able to take a look at your cattle every day, that's a different story. But out in the country, that collar data is really the only way that we have to try to figure out where these things are.
Any other comments? 'Cause I've got one I want to share. When I was at CSAC, I got there's a supervisor, I know him very well, he's from Calaveras County, and he's telling me about a report that he read on the wolves that are natural to our area. There were 16 of them. This is further north, but it was the wolves that we have in our in our country. They brought in those big wolves from Canada, and it was like 3 months later, they wiped out those 16 wolves. There was none left. So they're extinct. So the wolves that are natural, Northern California, Oregon, Idaho, and so forth, they're extinct now because of what they have brought in. And he had a report on it, and I found that very interesting too. So people need to know this information. It's pretty frustrating. And I have to agree, it's by design. If you've got wolves everywhere and you're monitoring one pack and not another, there's a reason. And the public deserves to know that reason. There's a wolf in Tulare County from the Lassen pack. That's a long ways. So if they're that far, they're in between too. I just had a supervisor lost one of her Great Pyrenees down in Bishop country and a whole herd of goats. She says, you can guess what it is, but I haven't been able to prove it yet. But anyway, that's my comment, and I appreciate this board, I appreciate our staff for all the work they've done on this. I do kind of have to agree on taking the one sentence out, but I think we do need to add in a couple of comments on what we would like out of this. So that's my 2 cents worth, so thank you.
I would like to add, more work on trying to call her the Lassen pack. That's something I didn't know. I didn't know they only spent 1 day trying to locate them, and spent 60 days camping somewhere else.
They spent about 30 minutes, they didn't spend the whole day.
Yeah, one flyover. I think we need to
At
add.
170 miles an hour.
Well, we need to add that to our ask.
Yeah.
Resolution including
Okay.
statistics and desire of what we actually want from the resolution. We can bring back a more robust one next week.
Let's do that.
How do you feel about that, Supervisor Alba? Since it's your.
Well, I mean, I don't know, we've been, I guess another week ain't gonna hurt anything. Or do we need to come back with a different resolution explaining the local emergency? So we just.
Well, I think if you're gonna make a bunch of changes to it anyway, you may as well just come back next week with it addressing a
Make it a
more
quick,
robust
clean package.
look at
Yeah,
things,
I
a
agree.
request for what you want. Think about the third section if you want that. You could still make tweaks to it next week, but it might be a better, more concise discussion if you have it all laid out.
Okay, we can do that, I guess. That's fine. I mean, who's gonna write that up? I mean, is Sam gonna do
We
that,
can
or are you
take,
gonna-
we
don't
can
make me
take
do
this
it?
and add statistics, we might reach out to you.
Sam-
for
Sam's
additional
our writer.
information,
Okay.
demonstrating for additional information.
You know, yeah, but, I mean, I know the coloring thing is good, I know the coloring thing works, I mean, I've been an advocate of don't color them, because
But then report it.
the Department of Fish and Predators, they wanna protect their predators, and so they wanna color on as most of them as they can. They know where the packs are, they know where the Lassen pack is, but they can't tell anybody. But they wanna make an example out of somebody. And, I mean, it's sad to say, but they really do. And I'm of the opinion that they don't color them at all, and so that people can manage them
Themselves.
That's my 2 cents, but, I mean, that's,
If we're gonna rewrite this, I would really like something in there where the citizens and the ranchers can protect their livelihood and themselves when necessary. I would, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
good.
only one vote, but.
Well, I'd like to see that in the sheriff's office and the Department of Fish and Wildlife have the right to step in and handle business too. 'Cause I know our sheriff's not shy about it. Give him the authorization as well.
Yeah. You have direction?
I need a motion to table until next week.
Okay, thank you.
so I would,
We need a
I would
motion.
make that motion to table this till next week, so we get more robust conversation.
Okay, I have a
I'll
motion
second
by
that.
Ingram and I have a second by Scanlon. Those in
All
favor?
Mark's motion.
I'm sorry. I was looking to my right and talking. Sorry, Aaron.
That's fine, you're fine.
All in favor?
Yep, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll go to number 4. Aaron, you're up again.
This all looks good.
This here again, Department of Fish and Predators, they like to hide behind the fact that they're federally listed, so they can't do anything. And so, if they're gonna hide behind that, I figured, well, let's go to the top, and let's write a letter to Mr. Trump and get him to work on getting me listed federally, if not through the legislature, well then at least by executive order. And if he's gonna do that, well then we can start right here in Lassen County, because we strongly support him, as did Modoc County, as did Siskiyou and Sierra, which is where all the problems are. And
Funny how that's by design.
anyway, so this is a letter to him, to appeal to him to try to get this thing, federally delisted. And then that way there it puts the onus and more pressure on the state, we can put more pressure on the state, so they can't hide behind the federal issue.
Amen.
Got any comment?
Yep, I'm good.
I really like this letter, I think it's ready to go.
I do too. Any public comment on this letter?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Amanda, Milford, California.
What's your last name?
Eater. Yes. I just wanna know, is there any attachments going with that letter to Trump? Like from the farmers that have had issues? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Oh, you know, I don't think so, because this is from the county.
Yeah, this is good.
Okay, okay.
This one, Ken, and then also we was gonna, CC this to, not only Mr. Trump, but CC to J.D. Vance, Doug LaMalfa, Chuck Bonham, Wade Crowfoot, Gavin Newsom,
The,
Senator Dowley, Assemblyman Hadwick,
Secretary of the Agriculture.
and Secretary Ragg,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
and then also Karen Ross, CDFA.
Any other comment from the public? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion, I have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay,
Correspondence.
correspondence.
There's no correspondence, there's no
Okay.
attachment.
The time is 11:09, and we're adjourned.
Not bad, NASCAR.